And hopefully the stream has now started. If so, welcome to YouTube. I'm glad to...
Good afternoon, YouTubers. You're welcome to the talk show for talkers with a very special guest this week. So, Moira, you count me in.
Yeah, I shall be ready to get you going in a very short space of time, Ted. Let me just organise who's who for the stream. Right, I think we're there. And I seem to have clicked a button I didn't want clicked. Right, so stupid.
Ted, would you mind renaming yourself? You're not a teddy boy. Just how about adding Melanphy?
Go on, Ted.
No, I prefer just the one name, please, because that's the way I've set up the naming on the stream.
You're always awkward.
No, I'm not. You see, I've got you as Paul Omani, so that's okay. You can stay as Paul Omani. But my
Paul, you're giving a bad advert for the wearing of masks. You have it under your chin, sir. That's not the place to wear it.
I see.
That's very true.
Is that a suggestion that I should take it off altogether?
Oh yes, definitely. If you're not socially distancing from somebody, do.
It does look a bit strange. It looks like you're needing to support your chin. You know, like they do with corpses when the Undertaker comes.
I want to memorable.
Or he might be trying to train his beard, Moira. You know, like the Spaniards do when they're turning up their moustaches.
Yeah. Of course. Right. Let's see now. As usual, I have to have loads of windows open on my screen, which is always very awkward. Now, somebody's got their phone on.
This happens every week, by the way, Elizabeth. This is, we have a very relaxing start in which it's a bit like, do you ever ride a horse?
Yeah.
You know how you have to hold the horse back before you let it go over the jump? Well, it's a little like this. Moira holds us back.
Well, only because
so we're not live yet. It's not.
We're okay. Yeah, we're
it's
okay.
on YouTube, but it isn't being recorded. The podcast isn't being recorded yet.
Oh, okay.
And the thousands of people who are watching on YouTube, well, they never contact us.
Well, that's not quite true. A certain lady called Elizabeth Jordan often contacts us.
I do. I always tell you when I'm there. If I'm lucky, I don't have a meeting. I'll be listening, and then I will say hello to you.
But
I want to get more people listening, watching, and responding. That's part of the why I want to do this.
And we're delighted. We'll have to have you back again for that conversation, Elizabeth, on those points.
We do, definitely.
They all make a lot of sense. There are things that we would have been doing anyway, like obviously this interview with your good self. Also, we'll have an interview with Gerard Mannix. We did have one when it was the PQD, but we'd like to have one with the district director also every year.
Okay. And I think with Brenda and with Daniel would be nice as well. I think if people got to know the DLT, I think that would help.
We've interviewed Daniel and we've also interviewed Brenda, but they have different positions now. So we'll be delighted. And of course, we'd like to interview some of the different division directors also.
Absolutely.
Ted, what's this PQD thing?
Oh, that's the
Program Quality Director. You don't like acronyms?
Well, the thing is, we use too many acronyms in Toastmasters.
I don't even like DLT or
DD.
I don't like District Leadership Team acronized or whatever you call it. I don't like Distinguished Toastmaster acronized.
Well, the DTM, Paul, is a very important acronym.
It is.
Yeah.
That stands for Demented Toastmaster.
Yeah, but you see, the problem is that people, if you're distinguished, you should say so, not call yourself a D.
You're distinguished enough, Paul. You don't need any letters.
As you know.
Yeah.
Okay, are we soon ready?
Yes,
Yes.
we're soon ready. I'm waiting for the chatter to calm
you
down
ready
a
to
wee
go,
bit.
Moira?
Well, pretty well. I mean,
Okay.
I'm very unprepared today because I've been too busy, but we're ready to go. Okay, Ted, 3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome, Toastmasters, would-be Toastmasters listeners and friends. You're very welcome to the talk show for talkers here on irishtalkers.com. We are now giving you the second segment of this week's show. And at the top of the program, I did highlight a very important guest with us this afternoon. We are delighted to have the very eminent Elizabeth Jordan, who is the VPR manager for District 71. Elizabeth, you are very welcome to the talk show for talkers.
Thank you, Ted. I'm delighted to be your guest. As you know, I listen to your show every week, so it's an honor for me to be actually a guest on the show.
Thank you, my dear, and the honor is all ours. And we are going to be asking you the 5 questions that we ask of all our guests. But first of all, there might be a different 5 questions for you. So the first thing I'm going to ask you, Elizabeth, is what club are you a member of?
I'm actually a member of 3 clubs and soon to be a 4th club. My home club is Hertfordshire Speakers, where I've been a member for 10 years, well, 10 years in October. I'm also a member of Cornerstone Communicators, which is an advanced club. I'm a member of an online club, Presentation Zen Masters, and I have applied to be a member of a wonderful Irish club called Cashel. So those are the clubs I belong to.
Oh, wonderful. You nearly have more clubs than Nick Faldo. Do you know who Nick Faldo is?
I do know who he is, yes.
Oh, or should I call him Sir Nick Faldo? No. Is he involved in Toastmasters by any chance?
What, Nick?
Yes.
No, he's a golfer. I do know that. I do know the sporting heroes.
Well done. Excellent. Excellent. And that's lovely to know that as well, because that's important. And Patricia, or Elizabeth, beg your pardon, Elizabeth, I didn't know where Patricia came from. Elizabeth, what brought you to Toastmasters?
Well, that's an interesting question. I was having lunch with some of my colleagues and one of the managers, and the manager had actually been to a Toastmasters meeting, and he told us what a wonderful experience it was, these wonderful speeches and the feedback and so on. And it really chimed with me because at the time I knew that I needed to improve my public speaking. At work, I was very confident giving technical, I'm a research chemist by training, so I'm quite confident doing technical speeches, but call me in to do anything impromptu, put me out of my comfort zone, and I was tongue-tied. And I thought, that sounds interesting. So I want to underscore the importance of word of mouth, because literally I heard of it through him. And I looked it up on the internet, but it took me another, I think, 3 or 4 months before I plucked up the courage to walk into my local Toastmasters club. So I want to make the point that we shouldn't underestimate the effort it takes. So particularly since I'm in PRM, I want people to think, to spread the word that Toastmasters, that we're friendly people. Don't wait 3 months to come and see us. Come along. We are warm, we're friendly, we're here to help, and we want to meet you. So that's my message to everyone. Come along to a meeting. We'll greet you with open arms.
Lovely testimonial. And did you just walk into that meeting without being dragged in by your best friend or anything like that?
Well, actually, my husband was so fed up of me talking about Toastmasters and not doing anything. He said, I will come along with you. So we went along to the meeting, and that first night, we went along, cold, wet, miserable October night, sat at the back of the room, but I must say I was electrified. The speeches were fantastic. I actually was hooked by the evaluations, and that's what kept me going back. That bit chimed with me. Table topics terrified me, and I kept thinking, hope they never have to ask me to do that. But I think it was the smiles and the handshakes and the feeling that it was a warm environment that gave me the courage to go back again on my own. And 10 years later, I'm still an active member of the club, and I absolutely adore my home club.
That's brilliant.
And my other clubs.
Yeah, and I can see that. You can see the enthusiasm coming out through you and the electricity, as you said. And if you don't mind me asking, did your hubby join as well?
Well, actually, no. But he has been with me too, because I've been to conferences every year since I joined. I've been to Ireland many times. I've been everywhere. And my husband's always been with me. But this year, because I have got a district level position, he has decided to join because he wants to be able to, obviously be there for me, back me totally. But he's joined a different club. He hasn't joined my club.
Well, that's a good idea.
Yes, it is.
That's a very good idea. That's a good idea. So well done on getting that right. So what has been the greatest benefit to you?
Do you know that the benefits are so many? I think professionally, it's helped me to polish the presentations I give at work. In my leadership roles, it's helped me to have that, I would say, to help my interpersonal skills and the listening skills extremely powerful. But I would want to mention what I've done out of work, because beyond Toastmasters and outside work, I've helped people a lot with things like, preparing eulogies and practicing eulogies. And as you can imagine, these are emotional times. And when you help them to do that right, it means an awful lot. I mean, about 2 months ago, I got a knock on my door and I had the most magnificent bouquet of flowers. And it was from a friend. I'd helped her write the eulogy for her father's funeral. And she was so touched by the eulogy she delivered. She wanted to say thank you. And I, in turn, want to say thank you to Toastmasters because they helped me do that. I helped another lady who was the mother of the bride. She was absolutely petrified, but she stood up on her daughter's wedding day. And it was the most magnificent experience. And can I tell you that this was 2 years ago? And every 3 months, I get a box of organic honey delivered to my door. And I keep saying to her, "You've thanked me enough." She says, "You don't know what you did for me. And this is a small way to repay you." And I say to her, that is Toastmasters. That's what Toastmasters has done for me. And it's that sharing that I believe I value the most, more than the promotion at work or any of that. It's what you can do for others. I believe that's the ethos that I value a lot.
That's wonderful. You've identified a very important aspect of Toastmasters, that what it does for you. We've never been told about the leadership qualities that you pick up, but what it does for you, and you've identified it here, Elizabeth, you've identified it in that what it does, it brings out the best version of you.
Absolutely. That's a beautiful way to put it. I think, in fact, I would say that's what it's done for me.
Yes,
it's brought out, I think, the nicest part, the best of what Elizabeth is. And that's about service. It's about giving. It's about helping. And I cannot thank Toastmasters enough. So I'm in for the long haul.
Yeah, well done. And that jar of honey every week, that helps the voice as well. So that lady knew what she was doing, my dear.
She certainly did. She certainly did. Yeah.
So what has been your biggest Toastmasters challenge?
I would say this role as public relations manager is a huge challenge. I've done most of the roles at club level. I've been an area director. I was a deputy division director. And I was last year helping Daniel as the club quality chair. But I think to sit on a district leadership team where you've got 4,500 members, you've got 12 districts, the expectation is huge. And realistically, we only have 1 year. So to do all the things that one wants to do, and it's a district that I believe has got challenges. I mean, and with COVID and all sorts of things, it really is a huge challenge. But it's a challenge I am excited about, I feel passionately about. I'm bursting with ideas of what to do. And I believe it's going to be a fantastic year. I will certainly make sure it's a fantastic year, but conscious that it's a short time to do a lot. So that's the challenge, but it's a nice challenge to have.
It is a nice challenge, and you know, you've identified something else. You only have 1 year, but what I find, and I'm sure you're prepared for this as well, that when somebody such as yourself who has that ambition to take up a role and to challenge yourself, even though you'll only have 1 year in that role, it doesn't mean that you'll be stepping down from the DLT team next year. You obviously, well, I shouldn't say obviously, but you will consider taking another role next year, and eventually your husband will have to have his tuxedo nicely pressed for the time when you become the district director.
That's a nice ambition, but one I would be proud to have, because I believe being a Toastmaster is about service. I think humility is what it's about. I think if you've got big ambitions because it's a big post, I think you're in the wrong place doing the wrong job, and I don't feel that way. I just feel it's all about the members. That's what gives me the energy and enthusiasm to pursue what I do. So that's what I think.
Yeah, well done, well done. And you know, you're actually the position that you're in now. There were quite a number of people who put their hand up for that role. You had stiff competition to get to where you are.
Absolutely, it's really amazing, because normally, in fact, in most places, this role is a nominated role. It's not an elected role.
True.
And typically there, I don't know, maybe 2 candidates, if that, but this year there were 4 candidates. So it was a very, very stiff competition, which I think is fantastic, because you want it to be competitive. But my thought was all about, I want to serve. I want to do this. I'm going to give this my absolute best. So I had my team, as I said, my husband was behind me 100%. I would say my secret weapon was a philosophy student from Cambridge who I've known all my life. She was extremely helpful in critiquing some of the things I did. She helped me to do my podcast. So I think, but above all, and what I did, I think helped me tremendously, was I visited lots and lots of clubs. And I must say, going to the clubs in Ireland, I think perhaps taught me more than anything else. I learned a lot about different ways of doing things, about warmth, about engagement. And I thought, I really want to do this. So on the day I got up and I said, I'm just going to go and give this my best shot. If I don't get it, then the other 3 people are Toastmasters. They're like me. They've got the Toastmasters at heart. Good luck to them. Yeah. But if I don't get it, I will feel I've given it my best, and that's what I did, and that was how I want.
Well done. And what I must say is that I had met you previously at 1 or 2 other conventions, and I also saw you giving speeches and stuff in Toastmasters. And I won't say this now to try to get gravitas with you or anything, but I know here in Ireland, when the word was like, we're going to be voting for Elizabeth.
Well, I cannot thank you enough. I hope I will make sure that the faith people have placed in me, the trust they've placed in me, will not be misplaced, because I'm going to be working absolutely, giving you 100% of the best of what I have.
Oh, and brilliant.
I look forward to the year. And as I said, I look forward to having this fantastic resource play a major role in PR in D71. So I hope to see a lot of all of you. And I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, well done. That's fantastic. And if you could, what would you change about Toastmasters, if anything?
That's a good question. Perhaps what I would change is, I think, the roles are fixed 1 year, which I think is good in a way, in a sense it gives a lot of people a chance, and people don't build fiefdoms. But I think there are occasions when you need perhaps someone in the role for longer than a year, because a year goes very, very quickly. They just about know what they're doing by the end of the year. Right. And then someone new comes in, and in a weaker district or a weaker club or what have we, one doesn't have the time to build what is needed. So that I would perhaps change, or I think that's one thing I would consider changing.
Yeah, that's interesting. And what keeps you coming back to Toastmasters, Elizabeth?
So much. I would say it is the learning. I have never been to a Toastmasters meeting and not leave feeling richer for it. There are always wonderful stories, wonderful ideas, and so on. So that keeps me going. the people, I meet tremendous people. And now that we can Zoom across the world, and I've been everywhere from Australia to Zimbabwe, the A to Z, I'm just fascinated by these people, you know, my fellow friends and so on who are Toastmasters. So very, very much enjoy that. And as I said, the opportunity to serve, because I really believe what Martin Luther King said, that everyone can be great because everyone can serve. And that kind of greatness I like, because I like to serve. And yeah, and I have the opportunity to do that in Toastmasters.
And what a way to finish off your interview on the talk show for talkers this week, Elizabeth. It has been an absolute pleasure. I'm only sorry that you're not trembling like you thought you may be, because you commanded the show, and it's been our privilege to have you on the show with us today. Thank you, Elizabeth.
No, thank you. I think the reason I'm not trembling is because you are so fantastic. You made me feel as though you were just talking to me. You made me feel very relaxed, very conversational. I feel fantastic. I can now go and face my...
Yeah, you'll be taking over that boss's job soon, Elizabeth.
Super, thank you.
So best of luck, and I have no doubt we'll have you back on the show again in the very near future.
I would love to. Thanks very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Bye. So do you want to do the first section, Moira? Is there anybody communicating there with me?
Sorry, I have my my mute button on here.
All right, and Paul was recording something else in the background there, I think.
Ted, I live streamed it on Periscope.
Oh, lovely. She's a beautiful lady, isn't she?
Fantastic.
Wonderful speaker, so bubbly, so burbling, so bubbly, so vivacious.
Fantastically well.
Oh, lovely lady, yeah, lovely lady.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that conversation. I could have went on for the whole show.
Yeah, it for me, it brought Elizabeth alive in a way that I hadn't.
Oh, beautiful, yeah.
I hadn't realized before, you know.
Oh, lovely lady, yeah, very competent.
Definitely contributed to my appreciation of her character.
Yes, that's good. That's great. I'm delighted to hear that.
And folks, please don't overrun.
Lady.
Please don't overrun this section by more than 4 minutes, because I.
Okay, on the first section.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because we'll have to try and get that interview in its entirety. There was about 44 questions in there.
Yeah, no, it's just because that went over. It just makes my life a bit easier.
Okay, sorry, that's okay. I probably should have said it to you. Make sure you give me the colours which you did, but at that stage we were probably over time, were we?
Oh, we were already over time. Yes.
Yeah, I thought that too. Yeah, I thought that.
Because I wasn't paying enough attention to.
Well, that's a great sign. It means the interview was going swimmingly.
Yeah, absolutely. Put myself back in the centre of the screen. Okay, so I can delete that now and start again. Okay, Ted, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome, Toastmasters listeners and friends. You're very welcome to the talk show for talkers on irishtalkers.com. Our email address is info@irishtalkers.com. You can also find us on Facebook as the talk show for talkers. We welcome your comments, your questions, your feedback, and indeed your evaluations. These are the lifeblood of any Toastmasters club. So we look forward to you passing on those comments. We also publish the Public Speaking Weekly. This is a roundup of links from the internet, all about Toastmasters, public speaking, confidence, leadership, etc. So look for the newspaper link on our website. My name is Ted Malamphy, and I'm joined again this week by the passionate Paul O'Mahony.
Well, it's great to be here, ebullient Paul, sometimes I'm called, but it's lovely, listeners. Thank you very much for tuning in.
I didn't ever call you a bully, Paul. And also by the magnificent, multi-talented, motivating Moira O'Brien.
Good afternoon, good evening, good day to dear listeners. Without you, we would not have a show. So thanks for being there. Thanks for coming back. And we hope we'll give you a really good show this week.
And in fact, without you, we would not even be here. So on today's show, we are going to have the usual mix of a thought from the week from me, a word of the week from Paul. And boy, have we got a fantastic guest for you to listen to on segment 2. So you will be listening to that tomorrow evening. And it's something that you will be looking forward to, because that guest is the public relations manager of District 71, Elizabeth Jordan. And she is going to be with you tomorrow to enthuse you about everything that's good in Toastmasters. I am going to give you the thought for the week, and this particular thought from the week, I think it sounds very simple, but it is something that if you get it into your discipline of doing things, then this is a very good way to start. If you want to change your life and maybe even the world, start off by making your bed. Make that the first thing you're going to do every day. So if you want to change your life and maybe the world, start off by making your bed. And that was given to us by 4-star General Admiral William H. McRaven. So that is very good advice. So Paul and Moira, what would you take from that little snippet? If you want to change your life and maybe the world, start off by making your bed.
Well, it's the same sort of thing as the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. You have to start somewhere. And I think he's saying that the best place to start off is with your own home, your own environment.
And yeah, and have a discipline about it, because William McRaven, when he left University College, Texas, he went straight into the Navy the very next day. And he wanted to become one of these Navy SEALs, which is probably one of the most strictest groundings that any military person will ever go through. But one of the first lessons that they were given was their sergeant major, when he woke them on the very first morning, he insisted that they make their bed and make it properly. And the thinking behind that is you get into that discipline of doing that every morning. And the beds were inspected every morning. And the sergeant major very rarely passed anybody on it. He always found something where they could improve. And it's a little bit like what Huckleberry Flynn used to do about swallowing that live frog every morning. So if you do the most difficult thing you can at the start of the day, then everything else after that becomes a bit of a dawdle.
It reminds me of my mother. Reminds me of my mother, because my mother made valiant attempts to get me to make my bed every day. And I made valiant attempts not to make my bed every day. It also reminds me of my first impression of the military, which wasn't a very good one, which was that military people seemed to have to do 3 things that I thought were ridiculous given the nature of the vocation. One was make their bed, and make their bed to a standard which was so scrupulous that you'd be humiliated if your bed wasn't turned down not just turned down, but turn down to the precise measurements that were laid down in Army Regulation 1346, subsection 5349, repeating. So
You're wrong on the number there, Paul.
the second thing was polishing your shoes, spit and polish. I won't go on about that because that's another ridiculous idea, as I thought when I was young. Spitting on your boots and polishing them for hours in order to be able to turn out for. And then the other thing was getting a brush and brushing an area which had already been brushed 100 times already. These rituals struck me as being awful and remained awful till today. Ted, you have persuaded me that I need to rerun my life, make my bed, polish my shoes, sweep the floor after somebody else has swept it. This is a fabulous quotation. Brilliant.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. And that one that you got there about sweeping the floor, you're not sweeping the floor. Actually, you're teaching yourself discipline. And this is the whole tenet of that. You're teaching yourself. And if you take your little disciplines, all the little ones, look after the little things, and then the big things will have no problem being looked after when you come across them. Because life is full of struggle and strife. And as we know, if we have the discipline, we will manage to get through it, such as we are doing at this particular time in history. Now, Paul, I know you're going to give us your word of the day, and I also know that in the third part of this section, you are going to give us further thoughts on hybrid meetings. Or is that Moira?
That's me.
Sorry, that's Moira. You're going to give us the Toastmasters convention in your own home, folks. Imagine that. We still haven't got the money to travel to it, but now it's going to travel to us this year.
Ted, you're becoming so wide-ranging that your words are coextensive with the entire universe. I think you're a very expansive man today, meaning that you are expanding, and give you a bit more space and you'll expand more. So one meaning of the word of the day today, expansive, is what Ted demonstrates, which is give him an inch and he'll take a mile. It's that broadening things, opening them up. Expansive also means huge, very big. If you can speak in an expansive manner, that means that would fit very well with people who are following the visionary communications path, which does encourage you to speak in a way that opens people's minds up, gives people an opportunity to expand their imagination. Another use of the word expansive in a sentence is that expanding, expansive, helps to break through barriers of narrow-mindedness. So if you use the word in a conversation, you're likely to open up the conversation in a unconscious way or a subliminal way. Some words are like that. Landscape is another example of a word that will immediately get people talking about, something broader than they might have otherwise been talking about. You can say the landscape of your argument, the expansive tone with which you spoke to me there, Ted, that big, welcoming generosity. That's the handiness of the word expansive. That's my word of the week, Toastmasters.
Thank you for that, Paul. And I hope, Toastmasters, that you'll use that word, expansive. So it's a nice word to have in your lexicon. And Paul is really after making me look for those words where I can be expansive. Because when he said you're expansive, you're bigger, you're a big man, I was thinking of the thoughts I was getting was Michelin man. But I'm not that kind of expansive. So
it's a word that
Paul. I'm looking forward to our next segment, which is that mouth-watering interview with Elizabeth Jordan.
You didn't let me say, Ted. I was trying to get in, but it's a word that you can expand upon. Oh, sorry. Okay. We'll move on and call this segment to a close, and we'll see you again at the same time tomorrow. Bye for now. Yeah, I'll cut that bit out. I was trying to get in. You wouldn't let me in.
Where were you? I didn't see you raising your hand or appearing on screen or anything. You were hidden behind a red mask there or something.
Yeah, well, I was talking, and
I didn't hear you.
well, I was
Did
talking.
you hear Moira talking, Paul?
No, I didn't, and that was break. I was very sorry about that, actually.
Yeah, I forgot actually.
You were in such an expansive mood.
I'm not actually. I'm in a terrible mood.
There was no opportunity for Moira to find even as much as a crevice to crawl through.
Or a carafe even.
Oh, carafe. Well, that's a bit like, the old rhymes with giraffe. So,
Yes.
carafe, giraffe.
I'll have to send on a photograph to you after of that sirloin steak that I had last night, Paul. It was vulgarity to try to finish it all.
Really? I had a laugh when the giraffe drank from the carafe.
Oh, yes, very good. He's got a bit of a neck, all right, hasn't he?
Well, I'm going to keep quiet now while the next segment is Moira's tarting up the next segment.
Okay. Yeah, I'll mute myself here now, and I'll be less expensive. Definitely less expensive.
Definitely less expensive.
Are you ready, Paul? Are you ready, Paul? Let me kill myself back to normal. Are you ready, Paul?
Yes, I am, Moira.
I'm not doing the live stream at all well at the moment. That's my fault because I'm trying to do too many things at once. Why have you suddenly lost? Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. Right. Where are we? We're ready to go. Welcome to part 3 of the Talk Show for Talkers here on irishtalkers.com. You're very welcome. It's my pleasure now to hand over to Paul O'Mahony, and Paul is going to be waxing lyrical about the International Convention, but not the International Convention as we know it. Paul, over to you.
Every year, listeners, for several years now, let me start again. Count me in.
Just carry on.
Every year, listeners, long time before I joined Toastmasters, somebody got the idea that once a year there should be a gathering of Toastmasters from all around the world. Not called a conference, called a convention. Probably an unconventional convention. Tiny number of people go to it every year. Barely 3,000 people in a big auditorium. 3,000 out of 350,000 Toastmasters. You will appreciate that you could be a lifetime in Toastmasters and you might not go to the International Convention. But this year, in 2020, the convention was to be in Paris. And the talk show for talkers, presenters, booked themselves to go to Paris to meet the 2,997 other delegates. And then, you know what happened next? We got a refund for our money. So we didn't have to pay. We cancelled our apartments in Paris. And we all wondered what was going to happen. Big work behind the scenes, state secrets. And then 2 days ago, I think, at midnight, somebody in Colorado pressed a button, and what happened was all was revealed. For free, no money at all, you'll be able to have 6 days of Toastmastery. at home. You will be able to network with people who are going to be there. Oh, it's going to be extraordinary. 8 a.m. on Monday, August the 24th, Greenwich Mean Time, 8 a.m. This is what it says. This is the message. Listen to it. Join us on your computer or mobile device for a warm welcome from none other than our international president, Deepak Menon. And then it goes on. And from that Monday, and all the details, by the way, are available. From that Monday, there's stuff on every single day, but it's got a very Irish twist to it. Irish people are known when they go to regional or district conferences in Toastmasters for a thing called the CRAIC, the crack. It's a word that is synonymous with fun. Singing, storytelling, mime, poetry. Moira O'Brien has been known to take out a guitar. Ted Malanphy has been known to sing a ballad. Paul O'Mahony has been known to keep quiet. Fantastic crack. And this year, the past international president from Dublin, don't know where he was born, that's where he lives now, I think, Ted Corcoran is leading the crack. Don't know if he's ever done it before, but he's got at least 2 consecutive evenings of fun. Now, of course, they're going to be the International World Championship speech. And of course, there's going to be I withdraw the word very. There are going to be phenomenal teachers offering talks about topics, demonstrating skills. So it's an opportunity for learning all week. And it's going to come to you in your kitchen. Or tell me, do you do your Zooming in your bedroom? Probably not. Do you do it in your drawing room? Possibly. Do you have a home office? Do you do what Ted Malanphy does? Go walking in the fields with his mobile phone, tuning in to Toastmasters meetings all over the world. Yes, I'm sure Ted has a reputation for tuning in. And where will he watch this year's convention? I won't reveal, but I can tell you one thing, Ted has plans. Now, I must tell you a funny thing happened within about 45 minutes or earlier of the international convention being announced. All these people who are on online clubs, the most online savvy Toastmasters in the world, they booked. And you got all these WhatsApp groups, Firebirds Collective, One Country, One World, Wikibirds. Forgive me for not naming all the online clubs in the world, but you began to get all these members saying, I booked. And then you got this famous guy in District 71, Nick Lacani's being lobbied. Nick, you got to hold a party. And now you've got all these online clubs arranging to meet on the Sunday evening to plan their week together. There'll be a lot of wine drinking. There'll be a lot of stories, all sorts of things. Now, the Talk Show for Talkers isn't where you can find out exactly who's in the World Championship final or who's giving the educational things. You can do that for yourself. Just go to the Toastmasters website, log in. I bet you if you go to several Facebook pages, probably if you go to thousands of places all over the world, all the districts have the links up. Loads of places, very, very easy to find if you want to go. Usually 3,000 out of 385,000. How many will be there this year tuning in? Listeners, we've got a special prize for you. The listener who gets the number of people who attend this year's international conference gets that right gets to be interviewed by Ted Melanphy on the Talk Show for Talkers. Now, how's that? You can put it on your CV. You can, and there'll be a special prize. Might be a box of wine, might be a box of tissues, but a box. And it might have stuff bought in the Toastmasters store, or it might be bought in Woolworths. Who knows? But it might be a golf ball, but it would be a special one. Or it might be one of those special drone films that Moira O'Brien might make for you specially, because she's got talents outside Toastmasters, I guarantee you. But if you can guess the correct number of people who will attend this year, and I'll bet you that it'll be more than 3,000. I bet you. So I might be wrong. If you want to guess 27, fine. That's yours. So send us your vote. Just send us the number. Right? You don't have to put in anything else. We'll have your email details. Ted, will you be watching it, or will you be doing your garden? You have to unmute yourself, of course.
Yeah, Paul, I'll definitely be watching that. The thought that strikes me is that the time you gave is 8 a.m. in the morning. But that's it. That's Irish time, isn't it?
It's GMT. I think that's actually Paris time.
Well, okay, Greenwich.
I'm not sure.
Greenwich Mean Time, yeah. But what about people on the east coast of America then, and the west coast of America, and in Australia and New Zealand? All those people who may have. What about those?
No problem at all, Ted. They just have to stay up all night. There is no difficulty. There's no difficulty at all. They can stay up all night. Actually, the other thing is they will be able to watch playback. No question about that.
But that means they're not attending then as such. When you want the number sent into you, surely that will be the number. Will Zoom be able to cater for it? For the 30,000?
No. But look, that's an interesting point. We should put that point to Moira O'Brien, because she's our technical expert on how she predicts the experience will be communicated. Moira, can I bring you in on this one?
You may. If you remember, the International Convention has been streamed, or part of it has been streamed in the past, and not through Zoom or YouTube. So I'm guessing that they already have all the infrastructure available for streaming as many as they want. How they do it, I have no idea.
We'll have to discover how they do that.
Many platforms we haven't heard of. But the key thing is, Ted, when the conference was in Chicago or when it was in Denver, you had to adjust your life in order to be there.
Yes, true.
Yeah.
So the Toastmasters is an international organization. So when it's going to be held in Kuala Lumpur or anywhere else, we'll all just have to make the adjustment.
Yes, yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
That sounds fantastic. What an opportunity for that to be given. That should be great.
And it's for free.
That's the most amazing thing, that they have made it free, which is just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And that's the way it should be too, because it's not costing them anything.
Yep.
Think how much money we
have to pay. You're going to be in their house. And
yeah.
Think how much money we had to pay to go to the District 91 conference this year.
Yes.
And now we're getting the international conference for free.
That's fantastic.
Indeed. Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
On that note, folks, we'll bring this little discussion to an end, and we'll see you again tomorrow, when I will be talking about, well, a little bit more thoughts about hybrid meetings. We'll see you then. Okay, folks.
Well done, Moira. We're going along nicely. Paul, before I forget it, will you send on the link to me for this evening's meeting?
Oh, I will.
And will you also send on the link for Saturday morning's meeting? I went back through all the stuff there, and there was about 64 different threads that you sent on with regards Division A.
I'll send you one email with just 2 links.
That's
today
great.
and Saturday.
That's brilliant.
There's a Toastmasters International webinar on this afternoon.
Yes, and tomorrow.
Yeah.
You were there yesterday, Moira.
I was. Yeah.
And I plugged the talk show for talkers. Did you notice?
I didn't.
Well done.
I didn't manage to. What's going on here? I didn't manage to save the chat, and it's impossible to follow the chat. There was too much.
The chat was crazy. The chat. There
I
were.
sent on that photograph of that steak, but as a photograph, it wasn't great. On WhatsApp to you.
Oh, right. Okay.
There was too much stuff on the plate.
Oh, I see what you mean, Ted. Oh.
Yeah. But the steak took up the whole bloody plate, like. Just smothered under the veg and the one potato.
Now, I am looking for these links to send you.
Oh, that's grand. Send them on to me. And it's 8 o'clock for me, isn't it? Because I might go down for a pint.
It is. It's
8 o'clock for me, that's grand. And it will take half an hour, that's great. So if you want to call Moira in there, she can, while Moira's giving her piece, you can send on those links to me.
I was trying to find the link for my meeting this evening. The Toastmasters meeting, which for some reason I didn't put in my calendar. Very naughty of me. Oh, I've sent an email of annoyance to Toastmasters. They sent this email today about the convention registration cancelling and getting your money back if you haven't already done it. And they said that we had to decide whether we're going to cancel and get our money back or defer our put our money forward to the 2021 convention. But then they don't say in the survey that they link to, they don't give deferring to 2021 as an option. So it's a bit confusing. Because I have previously told them I wanted my money to go forward and ride to Paris on 2021. Because I might not be able to afford the money next year. So I'd much rather.
Or it might go up in the meantime, Mara, the price could go up.
Well, exactly. I could do better. No.
Well, I agree.
If the price goes up, doesn't matter. You've booked.
You still have a good deposit there, yeah.
Yeah.
Moira, I agree with you. I found it a very confusing email.
Yeah.
I really found it very hard to answer.
Yeah. Well, I
couldn't remember. I couldn't remember if I got my money back, and if I did get my money back, it seemed to be saying if you did get your money back, you can now change your mind and get next year's price.
Yeah.
This year's price next year, I think, but I wasn't sure.
Well, I haven't asked for my money back. I asked for it to be deferred, and that was a month ago, 6 weeks, 2 months ago. I can't remember when.
Did they give it back to you? Oh, no, you didn't ask for it to come back.
I didn't ask for it to come back, and as far as I know, I didn't get it back. But I think I might have noticed. You never know.
Ted, you have to register for Saturday. You know that.
Yeah, you were telling me that. That's why I was looking for it last night, and I looked for it this morning, and I can't find it on the stuff you sent on to me.
What's happening Saturday?
It's all there for me on WhatsApp.
What's happening Saturday?
Pardon?
What is happening Saturday?
Oh, my goodness.
Division A cost, A and B.
Just because you went to one club officer training, don't tell me you're not going to 2 or 3 of them.
I've been to 4 officer trainings already. I don't want to go to another one. Thank you very much. No, I don't think I'm involved. I hope I'm not involved.
It's the Division A and B.
Okay. I hope I'm not involved.
You're not.
Good.
Not at all. We put in a special request to give you a break because we thought that there was a risk that you might be too enthusiastic.
I think you got that one wrong.
We don't want you to burn out, Mara.
Well, I haven't been looking at the tech team schedules, I have to admit, having done my bit.
No, we have Hannah and Sarinka.
Okay. Sarinka.
Hannah or Dinah?
And Dinah.
Sorry, I meant Dinah. I don't know who Hannah is.
I don't
No.
know who Hannah is either.
No. Sarinka's good. Dinah's excellent.
Dinah's brilliant.
She reminded me that I've got to give Dinah a ring.
Yeah, I think
She's a very capable person, isn't she?
Dinah,
everyone likes working with Dinah.
Bundle of energy.
she's a bundle of energy, yeah. Yeah, amazing woman.
How weird. How weird.
Events.
How weird. How weird.
So is your event on the list, Paul? That's the question. Division L is gone. Division AB. There we go. Dinah and Sorinka. Yep. So you've just got the two. Is it a simple? It's a COT and not a TLI, is it?
Well, of course, it depends upon how complicated you call it. They're getting electives.
Then if they're getting electives, then I guess it's a TLI.
Yeah.
Mm.
They're only getting one go at electives, but they're getting in and out of break rooms quite a few times.
No, that doesn't count. But I think the thing with the TLI is you give them a choice. You give them, you have workshops and they can decide which ones they're going to go to, as opposed to just a straightforward thing that everybody attends.
It's not good enough for a TLI because they're basically given 5 options, pick one, and that's it. You can't go to the other ones. They're not repeated.
No, but that's fine. That's the TLI. What do we call it? Template. Just the fact you only have the one doesn't matter. Yeah.
Well, it's a TLI then, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
okay. Right, Ted has left us.
just temporarily, I imagine.
I'm sure. So I shall take him off screen. Take you off screen. Take everybody off screen. I don't know. I don't know. What don't I know? Why have you suddenly moved up there? Ted was up there before. This really confuses me. When people...
this happens. It's like as if somebody is deciding to move people around. That happens quite a bit.
Yeah, you see, I control this by the number pad. So you were number 3 earlier on. Now you're number 1.
Right.
And I'm number 2. Well, I was number 2 before anyway, so there we are, number 2. And you're number 1. Are we ready to go? Are we going to wait for Ted?
No, we don't need to wait for him. No, we don't. We never waited for him. Time nor tide waits for no Ted.
Okay, that's fair enough. Right, I shall call you back in then to introduce, and Ted is back. All right, Paul, 3, 2, 1, go.
Listeners, thank you very much. We have a special treat for you today, and it's a kind of a hybrid treat. A bit of this and a bit of that mixed together, and Moira O'Brien is going to be the chef. And today, this episode is going to be something that you're going to be able to get your teeth into. Moira, what are you going to talk to us on the show this week, please?
Well, I've titled it, Ted, More Thoughts on Hybrid Meetings. And the reason I'm doing this today is because over the past few weeks, there have been quite a lot of moves, quite a lot of meetings involving the ideas around hybrid meetings, and not only the ideas, but also a few practical experiments in hybrid meetings. So I thought it was worthwhile revisiting it, and not so much on the hardware, but more about how a hybrid meeting might be undertaken. And more clubs are going back to socially distanced on-site meetings. And obviously with the COVID-19, a lot of care has to be paid attention to how we're actually physically going to arrange these meetings. We are going to have to make sure that we have proper precautions in place, that it would be a good idea that everybody coming to the meeting has filled out a questionnaire to say whether they have any contact with anybody who has been diagnosed or tested, that they acknowledge that they do not have any of the symptoms, etc., etc. And this is for the precaution of the club, and it makes good sense.
Moira, sorry to interrupt
yes,
you. Has anybody written down that, for example, as a guidance? Because I think that's really a very good thing to have, but I haven't seen it written down.
No,
is anybody writing down guidelines?
Yes, the answer is yes. David Clinton, who's an area director in the north, in the middle of Ireland, in Kildare, around there, has done a lot of work on hybrid meetings, and he has put together a short questionnaire, and I will be making that available probably through our website. But a lot of what I'm going to talk about today has actually come out of the experience that David has had in holding his couple of meetings. Now, as I was saying, we have to take precautions to make sure that we are COVID aware and COVID free. And that is going to mean if we are meeting indoors, as I guess most meetings are, that we put our chairs separate, at least 1 meter apart. And the recommendation is to go for 2 meters if you can do it, but at least 1 meter apart. But also, and this is going to be, I think, quite difficult for people, but I think everybody should be wearing a mask, at least the audience. Possibly the speakers will be allowed to take their mask off. But you have to think about that, because transmission, as we know, is through aerosolization as much as through droplet infection. Now, I don't want to go too much into the medical side of it because I'm not qualified. But let's talk a little bit more about the practicalities of it. The most important thing is to have good audio. In order to get good audio, we have to do 2 major things. One, we need a good source of audio from our online speakers. And secondly, we have to have a good on-site method of transmitting our audio, i.e. a microphone. There are issues with audio, and you are going to have to experiment. My recommendation at the moment is, first of all, that you only ever, and this is most important, you only ever have one piece of equipment, be it a computer, a laptop, or a phone or a tablet, connected to Zoom audio. If you have more than one, you get feedback coming. And I'm going to turn my speaker up now, and you get that horrible echo and feedback. You want to avoid that at all costs because it is exceedingly distracting. So we only have one connection to Zoom which has audio. And I'm recommending that this could be quite happily the microphone that we're recommending, which is I was going to say a Zoom, because I get confused between Zoom and Rode. They're 2 4-letter words. The Rode Wireless Go, which is a wireless microphone, which can be plugged into an iPhone or an Android phone quite happily. So as we are going to have probably one phone at the back of the room and possibly a second phone or a webcam attached to your computer, to your laptop at the front of the room, it's quite simple to have your audio input going into your iPhone or your mobile phone at the back of the room. No reason why not. It doesn't have to go into the laptop. Now, if you have a smart TV that you can connect your laptop to by an HDMI cable, that is the best solution. It gives the best sound. It allows Zoom to do sound cancellation, and being a screen, you're going to get a much better, decently lit room experience for the people in the room. If you don't have access to a TV, then a projector is the next best thing. But of course, a projector does require the lighting in the room to be a little bit lower, which means that the camera that is looking at the room, or the 2 cameras looking at the room, are going to have to do a little bit more work to lift it to be more visible. So it's not quite so good, but it's okay. lighting itself is quite important. You want the room to be reasonably well lit. You don't want your lighting to be from the back of the room. You want your lighting to be from the front of the room facing the audience, but you also want lighting to be on your podium so that your speaker is reasonably well lit as well. Now, I've mentioned camera back and camera front. What does this do? Well, it gives your online people the best visual experience of the meeting, because they're going to see both the speaker and the audience. If you just have one camera trained on the speaker, then the online people are going to lose the experience of the audience, and they're not going to see audience reactions, etc. So we want to give both our online and our on-site members the best experience that we can give them. Now, engagement of the online attendees. A very good suggestion came up recently that it would be an excellent idea to have your Toastmaster actually attending online. What will that do? Well, it will force the on-site audience to be interacting with the online audience much more than if everything is done, if all the roles are taken by members from within the room. So the recommendation is to spread your roles around. Have some roles in the on-site and some roles in the online. And I think having the Toastmaster as being an online attendee, because the Toastmaster obviously being somebody who is there for a large part of the meeting, it makes a considerable amount of sense. Okay, so I've covered all the things that I wanted to cover here. So, Paul, you have
just thinking about this, I think it's much more likely that the majority of the attendees in some clubs, in clubs that are really successful at marketing themselves, will be visitors. You're going to have a relatively small number of people meeting in a room, and you could easily have 20 or 30 visitors.
Yes.
Coming to a club meeting.
That's absolutely true. And this does happen, as was evidenced by the meeting that we had in our own club this week, where more than 50% of the attendees were overseas guests. It was...
Well, I'm thinking of particularly people who are physically in a room, socially distancing from each other, doing all the things that we do normally at a Toastmasters meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And if you take a typical club, which might have 20 members, they might get, 10 or 12 to come to the physical meeting.
Yeah.
Certainly in the near future, I wouldn't expect more than that of their existing members to come. But if the club makes an effort to market the fact that it's holding a meeting and that some of the club members are pretty well connected in other parts of the world, I think it's entirely possible that you could have more people online at the club meeting from different parts of the world than are in the room.
Not only is that possible, I think it's actually to be encouraged, because by so doing, you're expanding the experience of your club members to a much wider audience. You're also giving them the opportunity of hearing Toastmasters from other clubs, which they wouldn't necessarily do unless they're like you and I and you go to many other clubs as a matter of course. But yes, the whole experience, I think, of being able to offer a hybrid meeting has got to be beneficial and has got to be encouraged. Of course,
I've been collecting links to clubs that have been holding meetings at which there's, bricks and mortar room plus online attendees, that let's call that hybrid. There are clubs that have been doing this for many years, and I have gradually been putting together a list, which I usually get from the Toastmasters International Facebook page. When somebody puts up a post about hybrid, somebody else will say, is your club hybrid? And how long have they been hybrid? And I've done this with many, and I've got a collection of clubs, none of which I visited yet. But I do think that if a club is going to go down the road of facilitating enthusiastically online attendance and membership from people online, that several members in the club, on the club committee particularly, ought to be attending hybrid meetings around the world where best practice is carried out, not spending all of their time fumbling their way at the expense of their poor old members. But it is or else a club should appoint a hybrid officer. Now, I wouldn't think this is a ridiculous idea for somebody in the club to volunteer to be the person who researches hybrid and who builds links with other clubs, gets advisors, network, and who's even able to provide club members with, look, there's 3 hybrid club meetings happening in the next 2 weeks. Here's the Zoom links to them. All of that sort of stuff. I think we're in for a tough year, and the more we can quickly get good at this sort of stuff, the better. What do you think, Ted? You have to unmute yourself, of course.
I agree with you, Paul. Actually, I think and I agree with Moira, there's a fantastic opportunity for clubs to be able to grow their membership and have an international flavour to it. But definitely we will have to have the correct setup. Otherwise, you're going to lose. You're going to get your own members antagonised if it isn't done properly. So I would hope that we might get some kind of a directive from TI also about it, because if they can organise somebody to go away and do the research also, and if they can buy the equipment and then forward it on to the clubs, it might make it more viable for all of us.
Well, I think I don't want to say that that's cloud cuckoo land, because that would be disrespectful. And however, I have to say that I think that's about as likely as the sun won't rise tomorrow morning, because there are existing clubs out there that are practicing good practice. So all Toastmasters International really needs to do is to say, here's a list of hybrid clubs who have been meeting for the last at least 3 years. Now, there are individuals out there who are not in Toastmasters International, but who will give you that list.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be left to the initiative of individuals, because
Paul, if you think about it, if the message goes out, I have no doubt that there are many Toastmasters who have businesses that would supply that type of equipment. So
I see what you mean.
From that point of view, there's an opportunity as well.
Well, can I call this is a bit of a red herring, because Toastmasters International is never going to do that. They may well offer to sell you equipment, but they're not going to recommend it. As they do, they provide us with certain things which we can buy. But because we are independent clubs under the umbrella of Toastmasters, they're unlikely to be doing a group thing. But there is just one thing before we finish.
I was suggesting that if we can block buy from an organisation point of view, that we buy on from them.
I understand, Ted, but I don't think Toastmasters is going to do that. But I just want to say one very important thing about hybrid clubs, and that is that if your club is currently an on-site club as opposed to an online club, and your club votes to become a hybrid club, you will need to amend your documentation, and you will need to file that with Toastmasters International, because Toastmasters does define clubs as being either online, on-site, or hybrid, and that is in your documentation.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah, so you must do that. And that brings us to the end of this week's Talk Show for Talkers. I'm delighted that you were able to join us and to stay with us to the end. And we look forward to see you again next week. So
thank you so much to Elizabeth Jordan for taking time out to be with us today for the interview session.
Indeed so. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening, listeners. Thank you very much.
Okay, folks, that's it.
Paul, where did you send on that link to?
An email to you.
Email to Ted Melanfi at where?
I don't know, just Ted Melanfi.
I was checking the emails and it came through there now. That's grand. Thanks, Paul.
By the way, just a little point. This is tedious stuff and nobody needs to know this, but I happen to know that it's Form 6A.
That's the one. Yeah.
Chartering documentation.
Yeah.
Form 6 is the club constitution, which has to be signed.
That's the
and you
word.
can't amend it in any way. But Form 6A is an addendum or whatever you call it to the Constitution. And that's where you put in things like, we only let left-handed people come to the meeting and things like that.
Correct.
You know, where the club is allowed to have its idiosyncrasies, but they have to be in the Constitution.
Correct.
And because I recently, I suppose I'm bragging really, I don't really mean to, but because I recently was a sponsor of a club that chartered, I had all these forms and it's an online club. So I had to send a form to Sri Lanka, which when it was signed digitally by the president in Sri Lanka and sent back to me, then had to be sent to Canada to the secretary, so that on the same form, there'd be 2 digital signatures. Fascinating.
Yeah.
Very good experience, actually.
Yeah, very good learning.
Very tedious the first time you do it.
Yep, I agree.
And the money.
As an example there, Paul, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
I was making out Michael Kett's evaluation form the other night. I downloaded it. I uploaded the information. But when I went to send it on, then the information was lost. It was just a blank document going on to him again.
That happens,
I know
Ted.
what you did, and I've done it loads of times.
Yeah.
I'll bet you what you did was you downloaded the document and you filled it out.
Yes.
Yeah, I downloaded it and I did a file save as on it.
Well, wait a second.
Yeah.
What you have to do is download the document onto your computer.
Yeah.
And you have to save the document, ideally rename it.
Yes.
Then take it out of your downloaded documents.
Yeah.
Then fill it out.
Yeah.
Then save it as a PDF.
Yes.
And send it to Michael, and that works.
Question, Paul.
But sure, I did all that and it still didn't work.
Question, Paul.
When I was going to send it on, I was reviewing it when I sent, but it was still coming up as just a...
Well,
Paul, can I ask you a question, Paul?
yeah.
When I sent you your evaluation form on Monday, did you get it? I sent it to you in the chat. In the chat, I sent it to you.
Gosh.
Yeah, in the meeting. I sent it to you in the meeting, in the chat. You obviously didn't read the chat.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't. Missed
Well,
it in the chat.
I did. I downloaded the file. I filled it out from within the downloads folder, and I saved it, and I sent it off. And when I looked at it, it had the information in there. I've probably deleted it now.
Yeah, I'll have to check that again. So, because when I was going to send it on to Michael, when I reviewed it, it was only coming out as the evaluation form without the information I put in.
No,
I did what you suggest. I did
still
what
have
you
it.
said, Paul. I saved it as a save as.
Well,
I saved it as MK1.
I don't save mine as a save as. I either copy the documents and then just save it. But I have had the same problems you've had, Ted, and I don't know.
I've had the same problem. I mean, you had to send a whole load of documents off when you want to go up for election as division director, I did. So I filled out all these documents and sent them off to that lovely man, whatever his name is, tall, guy who was in charge of the elections. He used to be a division director, a district director. Anyway, so I ended up sending him several forms that were blank.
Michael.
Yeah.
Michael.
And the terrible thing about that is that I lost what I put in the forms.
Yeah.
It was just awful. By the way, I've been sent the very best thing you can have for sending somebody a written evaluation, and I'm going to put it into our WhatsApp. You won't believe how good this is. David Clinton sent it to me about 3 weeks ago.
What is a small PDF?
No. This is actually a thing that it'll enable you to get the form. Here it is. You won't believe how good this is.
Oh, the expensible form, evaluation form.
This is a thing that when you click on it, it actually says what's the thing you're going to evaluate. And you can say it's a level 4 victorious communication, level 4. It will immediately give you that form.
Excellent.
And can you type into it?
It will let you put into that form the name of the evaluator, the name of the speaker, and the 2 email addresses.
Excellent.
Without saving anything on the screen, you fill out the evaluation form, and then you press send.
Sure, that's brilliant. Send that on, so.
Yeah, that should be shared far and wide. That's excellent.
Yeah.
This is astonishing, guys. Wait till you see it.
Now,
and there's more to it than that, but this is just, I'm going to send this to you now.
Send it on the WhatsApp, so Paul, because what I'll do then is I'll use that to send on what I did for Michael, because I have it saved, filled out, but I can't send it because it goes as a blank document.
This is unbelievable. I guarantee you, when you see this and you open it, Moira is going to open it. I'm sure that's what she'll do straight away. But it really
WhatsApp there now.
is. It is, yeah. Try it just while I'm here. Try it. I think it's so, and I think it's easy to use because I think I was able to use it easily.
Toastmost. Okay, Toastmost. That's Aaron, what's his name? Fung. American.
Well, whatever it is.
I actually have that on my computer already.
So I've already shared that, and I think I've put a link to that on our website. Yeah.
Think of an imaginary evaluation form and send it to me.
Well, I'm going to. What are you doing, Paul? What was yours? Was your path?
Oh, mine was level 4 elective. Question and answer session.
Yeah, but you have to put the path in.
Oh, sorry. Yes, you're absolutely right. Of course, VC. Visionary communications.
Okay, and it's level 4.
And it'll give you a drop-down menu.
I've had this since Aaron shared it a couple of weeks ago at the hybrid meeting. But anyway, I'd never actually used it. Pick a project. It's excellent. I didn't, and it's not quite as you said, I don't think. Question and answer. Where's question? There it is. Question and answer session. Time to title, introduction, get form. No, it doesn't say anything about the email addresses. You have to get the form. So if I put title in and a bit of introduction.
Get the form first.
Okay. Okay, speaker, speech title, evaluator. Okay, yeah, excellent. Email addresses, yeah, brilliant. And the beauty of this...
So you get a copy.
Yeah, but Paul...
You get a copy yourself.
Paul, just hold on.
Yeah.
This was not sold to us on the basis that it was everything that you've just said, which is really good. It was sold to us on the basis that the existing forms don't allow you to put as much text as you want to. That these forms have expansible text boxes. That was what he sold it to us as. But to be honest with you, I don't care so much about the expansible text boxes. What I do care about is the fact this is simple.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
I just
it's
couldn't
really
believe
good. Really good.
Is I nearly fell off the chair. I thought this is the most useful little tool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you don't anymore have to look for the bloomin' right evaluation form. You just...
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, you just do it by the name. Yeah. And the level.
Yeah, I have it, Paul. I'm doing it there.
I'm going to put the link into our website if I haven't already done so.
Yeah, we have that already, Moira.
On the website?
I'm not sure if it's on the website, but we certainly saw this thing.
I think every club member should be shown.
Oh,
this.
yeah.
It really makes everything so easy.
It does. Okay, well, I suggest we can stop the stream now. So I'm stopping it, and we'll say goodbye to YouTube. See you again next week.